What's up, everybody? It's your man, Brad Gilmore. Before we start the show today, I want to shout out one of our newest supporters, and that is Audible. Audible.com is home of hundreds of thousands. I'm not even joking. Hundreds of thousands of audiobooks, and they want to offer a special trial for you, the listeners of the Schmoedown Rundown. So it'll be a 30-day free trial. You get to download one audiobook that you get to keep forever. So whether you cancel it before the 30 days are up, or if you want to keep the service, it doesn't matter. You get to keep that audiobook forever. And when you get that audiobook and you sign up with audibletrial.com/schmoedown, that's audibletrial.com/schmoedown, what that'll do is that will help us here at the Schmoedown Rundown. It'll put a little extra dinero in our pockets, but we'll use the money for good and not evil. We'll try to do more things like the Rundown Schmoedown. Maybe we need a rematch between me and Paul Wolf. Maybe me and Aaron Turner need to break that tie. Maybe Frank Janisch needs another opportunity to impress. You can do that, and you can help us out with all kinds of production costs. We got to look out for our man, Chris Clark. So if you go to audibletrial.com/schmoedown right now, you will help us out. And look, I'm not just talking just to talk. I'm a user. Look at this. I am a user of Audible. There's Audible. This is some of the books that I'm reading right now. Here are the last 4 books. All right, I finished Crichton. I'm reading We Don't Need Roads, The Making of Back to the Future. No surprise there. Seinfeldia, How a Show About Nothing Became the Biggest Show on Earth by Jennifer Armstrong. Catch Me If You Can by William Abagnale, which I think is a top 3 Spielberg movie. And I'm reading the book. And then The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm reading right now. That's what you're hearing right now when I'm driving around the beautiful state of Texas. So go to audibletrial.com/schmoedown, audibletrial.com/schmoedown. Sign up for free today. Helps you, helps us, helps the world. Let's do it. Now let's start the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Janisch, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore. What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? This is the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. I am your host, Brad Gilmore, and I'm joined from all the way in Chicago, Illinois. Make some ill noise for my man, Frank Janisch.
Yeah, what's going on, Brad? Very good implementation of a word to combine other words.
Thank you.
And it's never been done better.
Yeah, well, you know, I am a wordsmith, some might say, and I do appreciate it. Guys, we have a great show for you today. It's going to be a little bit different. We're going to kind of get into why it is different and what you can expect this episode around. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, Frank, and I know we want to get into the news because we just spent 30 minutes almost prior to the broadcast breaking down the Pusha T Drake beef to Chris Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, shout out to the producer extraordinaire, Chris Clark. Where you at, man?
I'm here in Pennsylvania. I just got a huge education in hip-hop, rap, and you know what? Now I'm a huge rap fan, guys. Let's rap this sucker. Let's rap this sucker to the end of time.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just want to ask, what would be the equivalent of the Pusha T Drake feud? What would be the equivalent in the Schmoedown?
I would say Andrew Gajan Roca. You know, it gets
okay.
very disrespectful at times. There's
Sure.
threats of physical violence. You know, I would think that would be the apropos metaphor or analogy or the right one, the counterpart, if you will.
I think another one you could say is Patriots Top 10. I mean, these guys, records aside, these guys go at each other.
You know what? I know which one it is. This is the definitive one.
Okay.
The Insider, Jeff Snyder, and Frank Janisch. That's the ultimate.
Oh, come on. Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
That is the ultimate.
We squashed
rap
that beef. That beef has been squashed.
Oh, it's been squashed. I was waiting on the bars. I wanted bars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I had them ready, but then, you know, everything
was cool. But you keep it in the vault. You've kept it.
I did, just in case. Just in case. I mean, not just for him, but for anybody else, really. Yeah.
Anybody can get these bars from Jing and Janisch.
That's right.
All right. We'll call them blocks if you do it. instead of bars.
Oh boy, yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, hey
That's
guys,
fair. Yeah.
there's a couple other things that went on, and we're about to get into the news of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. But I want to say, watching, sometimes when we watch the Above the Line Patriots match, I'm a Patriots fan. I love the Patriots. They're my team. I thought they were a great team. I love watching them play. And sometimes when you watch your favorite teams go down, not only are you a little bit disappointed, but you become almost even more proud of that team. You're like, you know what? You didn't pull it out, but damn it, you fought hard and you held that title and you walk away with your head held high knowing you got another shot coming up. That's why for the remainder of this broadcast, I will be adorning
Oh God.
this hat, which is the 1995 World Championship hat from the Houston Astros, with, by the way, the tag and sticker still on it. Not Houston Astros, Houston Rockets. Because my team went through a lot of struggles the other night, and I'm very well aware of that.
27.
But just like that foolish Jane Fonda call, right, in the Schmoedown, the referees were in the bag of the Golden State Warriors. Now, they didn't make the Rockets go 0 for 27. I'm going to own up to that. I'm eating that one. But guess what? There were a lot of questionable calls on the floor that evening. I think even the Chicago Bulls fan and Frank Janisch can attest to that. A lot of favorable calls for the Golden State Warriors. But that's neither here nor there. I just want to show my H-Town pride, and I'm rocking this championship hat for the rest of the broadcast. Frank Janisch, though, what's been going on in the world of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown?
Well, let's get right into some news that Christian was dropping throughout the week. Let's start with, Mike Kalinowski. We all know he's gone heel now, and he's just going crazy, and he challenged Jared Haven to a match, and that's going to be happening. It's slated for June 19th as of right now. Its release date. And then, last week we also talked about the celebrity match, and we said Roca and Clark Wolf. We didn't have the full picture, literally. Christian then posted another picture of Alex Wolf. We were right on that part, but he is facing John Roca on a one-on-one match, so that's going to be happening, and that's going to be dropping June 8th, which coincides with that week, June 5th and June 8th. The live event matches will be dropping on YouTube on Collider. June 5th will be the Star Wars Triple Threat match, and June 8th will be the Shirewolves versus Action. So you'll have a doubleheader June 8th, Shirewolves Action, and the celeb match, Alex Wolf versus John Roca. There's also another match that was announced that's between Kind of Funny and Funhouse. That's going to be happening, not sure when, but it is going to be apparently a Patreon match first. So if you are subscribed to that tier and the Patreon, you'll get that a week ahead of time whenever that does drop. Also, let's hear what other news was there?
Well, let's go back to the Mike Kalinowski thing real quick.
Sure.
Because you want to talk about, we just were talking about Pusha and Drake. You want to talk about bars? Mike Kalinowski came with the ether. Wow, so many things were said in that. I want to actually, do you happen to have it in front of you? Because it was one of the most scathing messages, posts, whatever you want to call it, essays, if you will, that I have seen from the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. I mean, the Mike Kalinowski, as we say, went in, and he held no punches at all. This was not Mayweather-McGregor. This was like Mayweather-Pacquiao.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, let's read it. Let's read it out.
Okay, so this is what he posted on May 26th. He posts, "Hello, sheep. So in order to expose the corruption of the Schmoedown, you have to pick apart the injustices. They are everywhere. The first is this silly notion that there needs to be a fatal five-way for inner geekdom. Why can't we have a tournament? It's a corrupt way of exploiting us for a circus as opposed to letting us play one-on-one. Well, I am going to expose... ... I'll wait on that." So he's teasing he's going to expose something.
We got a tease.
All right. We got a tease there. He says, "Regardless, I have a challenge. The other corrupt continuation of star effing..." You get the...
Star effing.
Bleep.
We understand.
Yep, has continued. The star thrusting has continued. It is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that Levine and Whitwer are champions. They have a level of fame that the corrupt leadership wanted them in the king chairs, no matter the cost. But reality stars, that is where we must expose that these are just faces. Jared Too Smooth Hyman is a joke. He was a friend of Harloff's and got a shot because he handed out roses on an island. He proved he was in the wrong game when he lost to that mouthless giant Donica. So I implore the Schmoedown Corrupt to put me face-to-face with Haven, this joke who is more concerned in being in tabloids than holding the Inner Geekdom Championship, my championship. Now, that is in regards to Jared and Ashley coming public with their relationship. Very nice for them. Congratulations. Hope they have a great time. All that. So
shout out to him.
So now he's, well done. And Jared's a pretty nice guy. I've talked to him a couple times, so all the best for him. But now Kalinowski saying this reality star, this is where we got to draw the line on stars, and he wants to take him down.
Man. Well, I don't know what got into Mike Kalinowski, but, you know, we saw the beginnings of the heel turn, and then we saw him pretty much execute his new position, and then this just solidified that he is now the heel of the league. Taking jabs at Jared Hybon was just out of, I thought that was out of pocket. He just decided to pick somebody out and say, you know what, I'm going to make an example of someone. And I didn't think it was warranted. I mean, what did Hybon do? Hybon went, he proved himself in a Fatal 5-Way. He didn't just walk in and get a title shot. He proved himself. And it wasn't like,
I mean, you can say what you want about the competition that day, but he answered like 80% of the questions thrown his way. So you can say whatever you want about the competition that was around him. Wasn't the greatest, let's face it. But he did great in answering what was in front of him, and that showed a lot when he faced Donica. So I don't think Jared is a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. I think Kalinowski.
Do you think Kalinowski's barking up the wrong tree here? Is this the wrong? Is this the wrong way to go?
He may be. He just might be barking up the wrong tree here because I would think it's a 50-50 shot here for both these players. I mean, we obviously know if Jared gets Star Trek, that was his ultimate downfall against Donica. Had that not happened, that match could have turned out completely different. We don't know. So you know, Mike, he has his weaknesses as well. So if he gets that in a match, you know, it's not like, you know, these guys or Kalinowski is you know, Inner Geekdom proof for, you know, whatever the categories come his way. He's got some weaknesses that could come into effect, just as Jared can. But I would assume both of these players went back and tried to strengthen their weaknesses. But, you know, time will tell. I'm excited for this match, though.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it, too. I think that it has a lot of there's already some there, right? There's already some meat on the bone. And I love when, you know, I like all the Schmoedown matches, but just like in wrestling, when two guys get in the ring and they have a nice athletic competition, that's all well and good. I enjoy it and I can appreciate it. But when two guys get in there and there's a little bit of beef and there's some smack talk, there's some weeks building up to the match, and you're not just giving me Goldberg versus Hogan on free TV. You build up the story, you lay it out for several months or for several weeks, and then give it to me. I'm all that much more invested. And I love, you know, one thing I got to credit the Schmoedown on is how socially interactive it is when it comes to social media, right? There's always things and story points and all kinds of different things going on social media, and it just makes it that much more encompassing of a show. It's not just you got to watch week to week on the broadcast. You can see storylines starting to develop, bubble, or even outright play out on social media between matches, and it kind of keeps you entertained for the whole week as opposed to 2 days of the week.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you just said there is accurate, and that's one of the great things about the Schmoedown. Yeah. How
accurate is it? Am I in the 80s? Am I above average? You are the statistician here.
We gotta compute that later. We need a supercomputer to tabulate that.
Well, we'll get on it. Maybe Richard Pryor from Superman 3 can help us out. But moving right along, why don't we talk about this match? And before we do the match, the Inner Geekdom match, speaking of the division, let's let the fans know exactly what we're going to be doing. So we're only breaking down the match from today, the Adam Hlavac versus Navarro. We're only breaking that down today. What we're going to do is the live event being Saturday, Frank Janisch will be in attendance at the live event, and we are going to do some sort of, we'll let you know on our social media at Schmoedown RD, but on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook page, we will be doing a live broadcast. Frank will be in attendance. I will be not in attendance, but I will be there in spirit. And we're going to break down the Friday match as well as get a somewhat of a preview of the live show. So look forward to that. We're going to put more information on our social media page. And if you aren't a fan or follower of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook page, go do it right now. And there'll be information posted there. And that's also where we're going to be broadcast.
So the idea here is, and this is completely experimental. So this may not go according to plan.
Fail.
But,
it could 100%
but we're gonna
fail.
try. We're gonna try. So right now, it's sometime on Saturday. It should be, this episode should be up before the live event has started. And so if you're watching this, then you can go over to our Facebook page, the Schmoedown Rundown Facebook page. Just obviously search Schmoedown Rundown if you're not a part of the page, because we're going to do the live. We're going to do the Facebook Live off of that page, and if you just happen to not be part of that page, we will be linking it to the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook group as well. So yeah, we're going to try and break. We're going to break down the Friday matches, and then I'm going to try and scurry around that place and maybe get a competitor or two on there. Who knows? We'll see what happens, depending on internet service and whatnot. But this is all completely experimental, and we're gonna see how this works.
We decided, why the hell not? And that's what we're going to be trying out. So just something new for y'all. We talked about the interactivity of the Schmoedown. We're trying to get involved with that as well. So stay tuned to all of our social media channels, including at Schmoedown RD on Twitter and Schmoedown Rundown on Instagram. And we'll be posting updates on exactly how that's all going to go down. And we hope that you join us. Feel free to ask questions, make comments, and we can have some interaction with you all, the fans of the Schmoedown Rundown, live and in living color. So moving right along into this Inner Geekdom division match, I think the Inner Geekdom has been, I don't want to say it's been the forgotten division this season, but the team division has been so lightning hot. The singles division has been so lightning hot.
Yeah.
So many great matches that the Inner Geekdom division, I feel, has just kind of gone under the radar a little bit. So it was nice to see a match with a former champion, Hector Navarro, trying to win back an opportunity to go against Jason Justice Inman to reclaim that championship, and go against a guy who's a newcomer like Adam Hlavac, who we've seen obviously before. We know his pedigree. We know the guy has a great talent base and a great knowledge base when it comes to Inner Geekdom. I thought that this was probably, you know what? I think so. On paper, this was the most compelling match I think that's been presented in their Inner Geekdom division this entire season.
I would definitely agree with that. Given the fact that they're ex-teammates from Superhero News back in the day, Navarro, a former champ, and Hlavac, he's come so close. He came so close in that Fatal 5-Way, the first one of the year, where he lost to Mark Donica. They were neck and neck basically that whole
the entire match, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's had to wait a good couple months here to get another shot at it, and it's against his former teammate, a good buddy of his over at Hyper RPG. They do great stuff over there, covering everything nerd and all that kind of stuff. So going up against Hector Navarro, who's been one of the best players since the very beginning of the Inner Geekdom. He was in the inaugural Fatal 5-Way that was at Spectacular in 2016. So Navarro is an old vet of the Inner Geekdom, if you will. And you know what? This is the 5th Inner Geekdom match we've had this year, which is already how many matches we had last year. So,
oh wow, really?
Total.
There was only 5 matches last year?
There was only 5 matches. Oh no, I'm sorry, 5. That is completely wrong, guys. I was looking at half the schedule that I have up. Yeah, that was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There was 10 last year.
Still,
so we're halfway there.
Yeah, still though, so, not a whole lot.
By the time we get to Collision, we're going to have another 4 or 5, or another 4, and then so we're going to be well on our way to equaling last year's total, just about a little more than halfway through the year. So there is more Inner Geekdom this year, and you're kind of right that it's been under the radar of this league because if you look at the past 2 weeks of teams and singles and all the title matches, I mean, they've just been some all-timers. It's so it does seem like the Inner Geekdom has kind of gone under the radar, but they're going to be making a push in the next few weeks because we got this weird push for the Fatal 5-Way at Collision with these, 5. This is one of 5 one-on-one matches for a spot at Collision.
Yeah, and I don't want to come off as being mean at all here, but and you almost alluded to it when we were talking earlier about Jared Habon. The level of competition in the Inner Geekdom League this year has left maybe something to be desired. Wouldn't you say? I mean, there were some new entries that just I don't think were up to snuff at this point. Some that definitely could be something, but
I think the best performances we've seen is Adam Hlavac and Mark Donica in that first Fatal 5-Way at the beginning of the year. Jared Haben in his Fatal 5-Way was very good. The Inman Donica match, when it was all said and done, they put up very, very good performances. So, I mean, there's been a handful here through these matches, but I think the 2 Fatal 5-Ways to start the year kind of take you out of, kind of cloudy that vision that there's actually been some really good play because the other 8 players haven't really been up to the average that we've seen in the past.
Well, it kind of reminds me, and this is just because, when you say Fatal 5-Way, you need bodies, right? And it kind of reminds me of earlier this year, WWE had the event in Saudi Arabia called the Greatest Royal Rumble. And it was the first ever 50-man Royal Rumble match. And a Royal Rumble's where, one guy comes out every minute and a half, right? And then you get eliminated if you don't know what a Royal Rumble is. So that's what it is. And they normally do 30 guys. Well, this year they did 50 in Saudi Arabia. And you already knew we're going to see a lot of jabronis in this match to be able to fit 50 guys and still have 7 other title matches on this card, right?
That's crazy.
We knew there was going to be a lot of jabrones coming through, and there was. But and I say that, I don't mean it disrespectfully. I just mean it to be like you have to fill the ring. You have to fill up the 50 spots. And when you do that, when you're trying to fill with quantity, it's not always the highest caliber player, the highest caliber character or athlete, wrestler, Inner Geekdom player ever. You're going to just need some people to fill the role, and maybe you roll a dice and they end up being something. Maybe they don't. That was actually kind of a happy accident or whatever the term would be for those Inner Geekdom matches, is you could fill them with maybe potential guys or someone you've been wanting to give a shot, and if they turn out to be something, they turn out to be something. If they don't, you don't book them again.
And I think we found that out with Jared. It was a complete surprise.
Yeah.
We weren't sure. I mean, you take a look at guys like Schnepp, who everyone reveres as he knows his stuff when it comes to comic books and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to Inner Geekdom, it just doesn't, or
trivia in
general, it just doesn't work out for him. So, you could have had people up there like Dorian Parks and whatnot, or Jamie Costa. They could know their stuff outside of a trivia game format, but when they get underneath the lights, it just doesn't work out for them. So the only way to find that out, too, then, is to throw them into the fire and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my point is, you definitely have to fill spots, but if they are something, they are something. So when it came to this match, I was like, you know what? This one's going to be a slugfest. Now, I personally thought it was going to be a little higher scoring than it was. I mean, I'm not saying it was super low scoring. They weren't in single digits here. They were in double digits by the end of the third round, in the end of the game. But I just thought it was going to be a little bit more going into it. But at the start of the match, Frank, who did you see? Like, who was your pick? Were you going to say, you know what, Navarro was the champ, I'm going with the champ?
Yes and no. I knew this one was going to be close. I was rooting for Navarro. I'm a big fan of Hector Navarro's, but he hasn't played in a long time. He hasn't been in this situation in quite a while. And Adam, he's had the benefit of, it was been a couple months, but he's a lot more fresh than Hector Navarro is.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if that was going to be a factor. I don't really think it was here, actually, because as we get into the match, we'll find out what really did Hector Navarro in, because how about we just jump into this first round? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go right ahead.
I mean, it ends 6-6. They both miss on Lord of the Rings, and then they both miss on Harry Potter. Clearly, their weaknesses here, and they kind of trade blows here and there, or one gets the other. I mean, Hector gets the Hobbit question right, but Adam doesn't. But then Adam gets the Star Wars question right,
and Hector doesn't. Yeah.
And so, but now we're deadlocked at 6. So that wasn't too surprising to me, because as we get into the second round, we will definitely know the kryptonite of Hector Navarro.
Oh, yeah. we will find it out very quickly. Yeah. But in that first round, there was something that Sam Levine mentioned, right, where he mentioned that the players of the matches don't get to read the questions the same way we do when we're sitting at home watching the show. And at first I was like, well, really, does that make that big of a difference? Just listen, right? That's what I'm thinking in my head. In this match, there was an illustration of what he was discussing, and I understand it. It's still, you need to listen more intently, but had the question been written down, the Thunderbolt Ross question, when it came to Hulk versus Incredible Hulk, had it been written down, Adam Hlavac might have gotten that one, or he probably would have gotten it correct.
Probably would have, yeah.
He most likely would have.
Yeah.
Now, it didn't really affect him that much in the end, but that kind of does make sense. Do you think, though, they should implement some sort of written version of the questions, or should the players just listen harder?
I don't know if they want to do that. I mean, those making the game. I don't know if they want to do that because that adds a degree of difficulty to the game. I think if they could do it, I don't even know if they could do it on a technical level. I think it takes a little bit more time to maybe set that up or make sure it's easily readable and all that. And then I think there's a lot more work in terms of prepping for the match, perhaps. But I think in general, without having the question, being able to read it like you would on Jeopardy, or let's say, I think it adds a degree of difficulty to the game that really challenges every single player that goes up there. So
the rapper Mos Def, right now known as Yasin Bey, he sometimes he would have songs where he would be rapping rather quickly, right, in very syncopated fashion. Not a lot of break spots in his delivery. And he was asked one time in an interview, hey, shouldn't you maybe rap a little slower so when you're on stage, you're not constantly running out of breath? And he told the interviewer, absolutely not. What I've done to combat that on stage is I play my set list on my iPod and I jog, and I run around, find a trail, and I rap it out loud as I'm running, so that when I'm on stage, it's not as stressful as doing it when you're running, and my breath control became better. And I say that to say he developed a skill to, be able to perform better, to do what he is paid to do what he loves better, right? And I think that that's kind of what you're saying, is it adds a degree of difficulty having to listen to the question. So what do you need to do? Sharpen that skill. As opposed to saying, I wish I could read it. That would be great, but sharpen the skill a little more maybe. Maybe that would be an answer to it is, practice blindfolded. Do it Daredevil style, You lose one sense, the others get stronger. Maybe that's the old Roca mentality when he would blindfold himself. Maybe it was to be more aware of what's going on within the question and not be distracted by somebody moving in the audience or what have you. I actually think there's some real credibility to that argument, and I don't think that they should go to written questions where the competitors can read it. Obviously, there's a lot of production issues with that at the level they're at now, but also I just think that the degree of difficulty that listening adds should be implemented in the game. It should remain in the game.
I think late to the party, Robert and Vanessa, they said this a while ago that when they found out that they were actually going to be competing, because they're reactors, so they get to read the question every time they're doing a reaction video. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did say this, that once they found out for sure that they were going to be competing, they stopped looking at the screen or reading the questions, because that's not how it was going to be for them once they got there. They had to listen. So I think they just started listening rather than reading the question on the screen. So it is a skill if you know, I think you got to develop in terms of really listening and concentrating. And it's a lot of listening, a lot of concentrating, because a lot can be going on in that studio and you need to concentrate. So yeah, I think it's definitely, you know, a skill you need to work on if you're not, you know, good at it.
I mean, if you mishear,
Yeah.
which happens,
Yeah.
we saw it with actor / an actress.
Sure,
we
yeah,
saw it now with Hulk
yes.
and Incredible Hulk. I mean, it can happen. You know, I even thought that when we did the Rundown Schmoedown, when the first round of questions were being asked, I did not even think that we weren't going to be able to read them. I didn't even think about it. And then I'm sure you had the same thing where they say the question, you're like, and you start writing. You know, you don't get the opportunity to read and be like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. You're like,
Right.
And then you got that time. There's a lot of factors outside of having the knowledge base. And I think that's also what Team Action alluded to, that it's not just a game. It's not just a, you know, do you know the answer or not?
Right.
There's a lot of other contributing factors in the environment of the game that you have to hone that skill as well to be able to be an elite competitor. So that was just my one thing about the Incredible Hulk question. Had Adam Hlavac maybe listened a little harder or been able to read the question, he would have gotten that correct point. But when you do move into round number 2, I think after a little game of Rochambeau, let's I want to talk about Adam Hlavac, so let's talk about him first. He spins and he gets movie release dates.
Yeah.
He takes it right off, makes the
Hardly hesitates. Yeah.
hardly hesitates, makes the man's man proud, and he does. I mean, rather well or very well. I mean, he went to multiple choice a couple times, but when he went to multiple choice, he made sure he got the answer. I thought as far as movie release dates go, when it's movie release dates inside of Inner Geekdom, I think that makes it a little bit easier, more difficult, because there's only a certain amount of movies that you're going to have that knowledge about.
Yeah.
And if you've done any kind of research on Wikipedia on any of these movies, you'll see the year pop up, and it just kind of gets ingrained in your brain. It'll be like, Daredevil, 2003 film, and, you know, starring Ben Affleck. And you're like, oh, okay, and it just kind of sticks in your head. Same with Blade and a couple of other ones. But still, not an easy thing to pull off. Going in there, you know, with nothing. I mean, he went in there and did not know what movies were going to be asked, and he did well. And like I said, he went to multiple choice when he needed to. He got the points. I thought strategy-wise, that was better. He played round 2 better than Hector Navarro did, because
I mean,
ahead.
there's really nothing much that Hector could do in that sense. He really got screwed by the wheel.
Okay, well then let's move. Do you have anything about Adam Hlavac in his turn in round number 2?
I just want to say I agree that movie release dates in Inner Geekdom probably is a little easier, because you're right, it's only a finite amount of films. I think Ben Bateman one time talked about, like, he did the math, and there's like maybe like 80 movies or something like that they could only ask about or whatever. I mean, he did this a while back. I could be misquoting him, but you're right. There's only like a finite amount of movies that you really got to study, and like that's what makes the Inner Geekdom easy to study for, because there is a finite amount of films so far. You know, only a handful come out every year that won't necessarily be thrust into Inner Geekdom. Anyways, that's another conversation. But I thought Adam, you know, did great in this round, and let's not forget that Hector Navarro, he's also pretty good at movie release dates. So by taking that off the board, that's, I think, a known strength that Adam knew of Hector, them being such close friends and being in the same workspace, that he knew that if he took that off the wheel, he could do just as good as Hector, and that's a strength that Hector could not land on.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about when it came to Hector Navarro. This was just such a bad call by him. Just a terrible decision by him.
Okay, I'm curious, where's this bad call? Because there's really nothing he could do.
No. So no.
Let me ask.
Not within. So okay, within his round, there were a couple times he could have gone to multiple choice when he didn't, and he would have been closer to making up the point deficit. I think there was one specifically that I think he knew the answer maybe after, or said, "Oh, I probably could have figured that out," had he gone to multiple choice. Someone actually in the crowd yelled out, multiple choice. I don't know if you heard that. They went, multiple choice, after the question. And, maybe he forgot, maybe he didn't. Maybe he just thought, I need to try to get these 2 points. I need to get as many points as possible. So he went for the risk, and that's something you've talked about a lot before, is taking the risk on the 2-pointers as opposed to going to multiple choice. His big downfall, I'm going to tell you his big downfall in this match, and it was when he spun the wheel and landed on Middle Earth to begin with. His reaction to landing on Middle Earth was a dead giveaway as to what category he did not want. We go back to the Team Action show from last week, the interview. They said something, we don't want you to know our strengths, we don't want you to know our weaknesses. We don't say that stuff out loud.
This is a fair point.
Thank you. We don't say that stuff out loud because we don't want you to be able to use it against us. And Hector Navarro, a guy with championship experience and a championship caliber player, made a horrific decision that probably cost him the game, because Adam Hlavac, when it landed on spinner's choice, or opponent's choice, he studied the board for a minute and he looked around and he was like, oh, he just spun away from that category, and you can make the argument, well, if he spun away from it, he's not confident in it anyway. True. That is true. Sure. He might have picked it regardless. But you don't have to go, oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
right,
just be like, think about it, look at it, be like.
No, that's a fair point, and it's good that you bring up Action's point about don't give away your weaknesses or, what you're good at, because had Hector, let's say, pretended to deliberate whether or not to take it, you're right. Maybe Adam doesn't give him Middle Earth. We'll never know, but
maybe he's like, oh, he's a Marvel guy, let me give him DC, or he's a whatever.
But another part is, though, like I said, they're such close friends. Maybe he knew that Middle Earth was a weakness to begin with, because it's also clearly a weakness for Adam. So I think it's one of these things. Do I give him a category that I could potentially steal from, or do I give him a category in which I know he's probably not going to pick up anything, but that doesn't leave me anything to pick up, but it doesn't matter because I just had a pretty good round. So there's a lot that kind of goes in there, but you're right, the body language is a dead giveaway in terms of
don't bring this around me at all.
Yeah.
And the other thing was this, is Adam Hlavac even said, well, I played this round the wrong way. He said that in the match, and I think what he meant by it is, oh, crap, I don't know anything about Middle Earth either.
Sure.
I could have, because, he had a couple opportunities and 2-point opportunities to steal, and he didn't know the answer. He actually, one time, he just answered the same thing that Hector Navarro said.
Yeah.
He said the same exact answer.
I think part of Hector's strategy then is let me not give him multiple choice and give him a 33% chance of getting the correct answer if I get it wrong on multiple choice. So
that's true. That's true. I don't know if that's what he was thinking, but it was a happy accident.
Right. But that also plays into above the lines theory or strategy of we don't want to go to multiple choice if we don't have to, because that gives the team an actual opportunity to perhaps even guess a correct answer, even if they're blind as to what the answer is.
Yeah.
It gives them options to choose from. And so had that happened, in the second and third question, Adam could have guessed his way, to a 1 point, even though he didn't know diddly about Middle Earth.
This is why, though, I say round 2 is make or break, because it's a really choose-your-own-adventure round. It's, okay, there's so many different ways to play it strategically that could either pay off or be to your detriment. And it's a really, okay, do I answer this 2-point question and take a shot in the dark at it? If he gets it, but if I get it wrong and he gets it right, I just gave him 2 points. Or do I multiple choice it, take the 1 point, but then if I get it wrong, he only gets 1 point. I mean, there's so many different ways to play it, and it's really choose your own adventure. And I think that there's not one strategy that really pays off better than the other. I think it's really, one, the luck of the draw, obviously, but 2, it's whatever you feel works. There's certain things
that comes to your opponent. Your opponent too, I think, dictates your strategy. The multiple strategies you could have in that round is probably dictated a little bit more by your opponent.
But it's like, you remember Major League where what was his name, Serrano? He had his little voodoo section,
Yeah,
right?
he
and
had
he
his
had
little
his
setup
pregame
thing, yeah.
rituals.
Yeah.
Did that really help him hit home runs, or did he think that it helped him hit home runs? And that's my
Both.
my point in this is like,
Yeah.
okay, does it
Yeah,
really
yeah.
work for ATL, like that strategy, or do they think that it works so it gives them the confidence to do so, and they just happen to perform well? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
But I think that it's really like I said, it's a choose your own adventure round. Anything can happen. What do you think, Chris? What do you think is the better strategy? Let me throw it to you. Do you think going for the 2-pointer and taking a shot in the dark, or do you think going to multiple choice, and if you miss it then your opponent only gets 1?
Well, it depends on what the category is. Because if you're looking at it from a competitor's point of view, you don't want to risk the fact and them getting those 2 points. It's a lose-lose kind of situation in that aspect. But look at this. You're looking at Hector and Adam. They both are pretty familiar. Even if I was listening to what you guys, even if he didn't say what his weaknesses were, theoretically, he probably told Adam his weaknesses if he was helping him study for like the Inner Geekdom matches when they were together as a team. So I don't think I don't even think that Hector himself was it's just a lose-lose situation. So I would feel like if they decided not to go to multiple choice, it might have been for a reason in this situation. But in general, I would actually just go to multiple choice because you're risking 2 points. And your opponent could get 2 points, and that could be a detriment if that piles up. And it's I don't think there's been a comeback in round 3 from above 5 points, so a deficit. So you're better off just going for multiple choice. I hope that made sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and I kind of err on that side. Frank, I know you differ. Normally, you think that it's worth the risk in round 2 to go for those 2-pointers because you can maybe make it up in round 3. But, you know, it's really situational because it's like, okay, how well do I know my opponent? Is my opponent good at this category? If he's not good at this category, I can risk it. If he is good at this category, I go to multiple choice. It's all situational. It's just like any other sport, any other game. It's all situational. No one strategy prevails. It always ends up different. Let's go to round number 3 real quick, though, here, because this was an interesting round. Hector Navarro went first. He was behind, and his first question was from the MCU. It was a question about what color was the Power Stone. The Power Stone, of course, first seen, I believe, in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was purple, and he got that one right. Then, then let's talk about his 3-pointer.
Why not?
Because I find it, how do you say, coincidental. The reason I say it's coincidental is because I remember this question. I've heard this question before somewhere.
Have you?
And I was trying to figure out why does Brad Gilmore, of all people, recognize this question? And so I'm sitting.
You got it wrong?
I'm thinking. I'm scratching the old noggin. And then I remember, I've been asked this question before, and I got it wrong in the Rundown Schmoedown. In the Back to the Future category, which is my strength, which, by the way, I'm representing right now for. I actually have Gray's Sports Almanac around here. I bought it. There's a real Gray Sports Almanac.
Did you post it?
I did post it on Twitter.
I saw that. I was like,
it came in the bag with the receipt.
That's awesome.
So sweet, yes.
Oh, the receipt's probably like the coolest part.
The receipt was the coolest part. The receipt in the time machine. Along with this. Anyway. I remember this.
Wait, did you get a bit of the cane?
No. They sell that, though. They sell the top of Biff's cane.
That's
and it's like on a little thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
This question was asked to me in the Rundown Schmoedown. The hosts were William Bibiani and the question writer Chris Skaliski. I don't know if this question was written prior to or whatnot, but this question had been asked in at least some form of a Schmoedown, and I got it wrong. I thought...
Did you get it wrong again?
Hector Navarro was going to get it wrong.
When they asked it?
No, I knew it this time, you son of a gun. I was about to cuss you, but then I remember your mother watches the show. Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean last week to refer to your parents as idiots as well because of you. That's actually a quote from Back to the Future.
Oh, fair enough.
It was from Lorraine's father.
Yes.
He said he's an idiot.
Too. Comes from upbringing. Yeah.
His parents were probably idiots too. Gotcha. So that was a quote, Mama Janisch. I just want you to know that because I love you even though I don't know you.
Yeah.
But I saw that, and of course he guessed and got it right on the Honeymooners. But what was going on in your mind, Frank Janisch, when you were like, oh, hell, I know this one?
Yeah, I knew this one. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This was on our version of the Schmoedown, and I couldn't believe that Hector was having trouble coming up with the answer, and he guessed. I mean, he plainly, it's clear as day that he guessed.
Yeah.
And that's one hell of a fucking guess, I got to say.
That's a great guess.
I mean, you really got to think back to that time period. You could have said Leave It to Beaver, or I don't know, I Love
Ozzy
Lucy,
and Harriet, or whatever.
But then to come up
Andy
with Honeymooners,
Griffith
I
Show.
mean, sure.
Yeah.
To come up with Honeymooners, that's a great Josh McCouga-esque guess.
Yes, he had a little bit of blue fairy dust on him because that was very, very, very good pull. John Roca,
But it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything.
And John Roca was impressed with that. And you know what I want to do? Next time I'm in Los Angeles, John Roca and I are going to sit down and we're going to watch Back to the Future 1. And I think we should do a commentary of it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he's just not a fan, is he?
I don't think he cares for the franchise.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I've asked him before. You know,
I could be totally wrong about that, but for some reason, I mean, I would think after missing a couple key questions in the Schmoedown, he really doesn't like it, but you would think he should watch it.
You would think it's one to watch, you know?
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, Fruit of the Loom. Need I say more?
I mean, it's Calvin Klein. So, I mean, yeah. All right.
Anyway, moving right along. I just, you know, there's very few facepalm moments in the Schmoedown because I am not at the caliber of a lot of the people in the league, obviously.
Sure.
But Fruit of the Loom might be the worst answer in the history of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. And I love John Roca. That's the worst. What was his nickname?
Yeah, what is the worst? I wonder what is the worst answer ever given. If people can comment.
Yeah, let's throw it out there. What's the worst
answer ever given in the Schmoedown to an answer, as an answer? I mean, not like a joke.
Not a joke answer. Like a legitimate answer by a competitor. What's the worst
that was
ever?
Wrong. Yeah.
Tweet us at Schmoedown RD, or comment on Facebook on our Facebook page, Schmoedown Rundown. I would love to know.
Or in the YouTube comments, wherever you're watching.
If you're watching in the comments, put in the comments, obviously. Yeah. What was the worst answer ever given? Because mine is Fruit of the Loom, and I don't think you can beat that. I don't think it's possible.
But don't say Geppetto just because it was spelled weird, but
Geppetto's not it. He spelled it wrong. Whatever.
It's
spell Pinocchio. Someone spell Pinocchio out there. Really, off the top of your head.
Pinocchio. I don't know if that's even right or wrong. You don't know either.
It sounded right.
So
it sounded
didn't it? It sounded
good.
Yeah.
I want to tell us a quick story. When Kanye came out that album 808s and Heartbreak, there's a bonus song on there. Oh, so wait, hold on. What? Chris Clark likes Kanye. There's a song on there called Pinocchio Story. Yeah. And I had never seen since I was a kid, right? I'd seen the movie, obviously, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and the animated version. I didn't, but I just didn't recall how Pinocchio was spelled. And I remember seeing the track list in 2008, so I was 14, 15, whatever I was. And I was like, Pinocchio show story? What the hell is he talking about? And then I'll never forget, it was actually my teacher at the time came over, and I was on my phone when I shouldn't be, and she said, it's Pinocchio. And she gave me this look like you're an idiot. Anyway, I digress. Let's go to Adam Hlavac.
I added an N.
It's okay. We're on a
other than that, I had it right. I knew it was double C.
We're way past a tangent at this point. It's not even funny. So anyway, tweet us your worst answers or comment in the video below.
Sorry, Audible.
Sorry. By the way, audibletrial.com/Schmoedown.
Yes.
Make sure you go over there and do that. Audible.
Because we know you skipped the first 7 seconds or whatever, how long
7 minutes.
Spot is at the beginning.
7 seconds. It's more like 7 minutes. I went way too long. I went way too long. We'll put a new spot in maybe next week.
Like, please, just please, and the logo, and that's it. Yeah. Because I know everyone skips it.
Oh, I skip it.
Fuck.
Anyway, back to the point. Adam Hlavac had a really good third round, right, Frank?
Well, he didn't have to do much. I mean, he got the Indiana Jones question wrong, which was, oh crap, I forget the Indiana. What's was?
It was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull question.
That's right. Who played? What's his name? Oh my gosh!
Now it just completely went out of my head too.
But it's. I remember I got I got
Harold Osley. Who played Harold Osley?
Yeah. And I said William Hurt, and that is not correct. And I was like, I couldn't think of. I knew it wasn't William Hurt, but I was like, it's not him. But I'm like, I can see his face. But yeah, he got that one wrong.
Jeffrey Rush wasn't the worst answer either.
No, not really.
Because I was like, oh, you know what? I could kind of see Jeffrey Rush in that role. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it kind of worked, right?
Because I mean, you kind of look like what he looked in Pirates. I guess you can kind of old raggedy the way Ockley looked. Yeah, but then he gets he seals it basically on his 3-point Marvel question.
Yeah, he had that question number 2 was in Marvel. It was in Deadpool while Wade Wilson is being tortured in the oxygen deprivation chamber. What does he steal from Angel Dust? Great call. The answer was a match. He gets that one correct. And then it goes back over to Mr. Hector Navarro. In Scores and Soundtracks, it was, what is the only comic book film directed by Bryan Singer not to have a score composed by John Ottman? Now, I didn't know the answer to this question at all, but I said the same thing Hector Navarro said. I thought it was Superman Returns. I think the answer ended up being X-Men. But I did think it was Superman Returns because I know he was so crazy, Bryan Singer was, about sticking to that original Dick Donner Superman franchise that he used the music of John Williams. I'm pretty sure. So I thought, okay, he's using the John Williams score, at least for the main theme. That must be the movie. And it's the only other comic book movie that's not an X-Men film. So I'm like, okay, this has to be the one. And it wasn't. I mean, I was really shocked that the answer wasn't Superman Returns. Hector Navarro knew it wasn't Superman Returns, but
he couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah, he couldn't think of anything else. And you know, really, that's a tough one. Scores and Soundtracks is very tough because if I'm asked a Scores and Soundtracks question in the Inner Geekdom division, my answer is only going to be Hans Zimmer. Whatever you ask me, my answer is Hans Zimmer.
That's not a bad way to go. I mean, previously he was 3 for 3 in Scores and Soundtracks coming into this, so it's not like...
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's not like this was a completely bad category for him. He alluded to it. He's like, does it fall right inside my wheelhouse or it doesn't? And I think this one was like just on the edge because, you know, he knew his answer wasn't the answer. He just...
Yeah. He had to take a roll at the dice. But I just thought, really, though, when you think about it, of the possible answers it could have been, Superman Returns was the best answer. Right? I mean, X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men United, or X-Men The Last Stand.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, those are probably all. He probably worked with the same
that's a fair
crew on all of them.
process,
You know, he had the same cast. He probably had the same crew. He probably used the same, composer. I thought it was a fair guess that it would be Superman Returns. Like I said, especially with the, illusions and the allure and the continuation of the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman series. I thought that would have been the right one, but it didn't work out for him. Adam Hlavac picks up the W. Where does this put Adam Hlavac in your mind, Frank? If you were to do like top 3 in the league, excluding the champion, is he now entering that top 3?
I would, of current... I mean, we still have
current Inner
Rachel.
Geekdom play.
Yeah, we still have Rachel, who's very, very good. Yeah. She would have killed the Middle Earth category. So, I mean...
Oh, yeah, she would have welcomed...
She's pretty strong in everything else as well. I think she might be at the top. I mean, also, Kalinowski. I know he's 0-2 in his appearances here. But I think he's someone that... You still got to look out for.
He's gonna have to prove that one to me. I know he's good at certain stuff, but 0-2, you can't talk all that smack, especially to the Bachelor, if you're 0-2.
I mean, Mark Donica, he's answering 70% through 3 matches, so which is a better clip than what Kalinowski's done through 2 matches. Kalinowski's answering 67%, so. I mean, Mark Donica, he's answering 70% through 3 matches, so which is a better clip than what Kalinowski's done through 2 matches. Kalinowski's answering 67%. So, I mean, Mark Donica, he's answering 70% through 2 matches, so which is a better clip than what Kalinowski's done through 2 matches. Kalinowski's answering 67%. So, I there's not like a whole lot of people at the top that are, or the league is actually not as strong as you might think in terms of top people. Because you have Inman and Rachel. I mean, right now those are the two that you think about that are the strongest. Kalinowski certainly, Mark Donica, and I think those two guys. And I mean, Hector Navarro is still a quality player. He's still, I think, he's probably in the top 3 still, outside the champ. So, because he had a bad second round, he got a bad spin of it. He got a weakness, and it was exposed, and there's nothing he can do about that. So although I still put him, he's still answering 75% lifetime through 5 matches here in the Inner Geekdom. He's 2-3 now. So he's still one of the better players in this league. That's for sure.
Oh, he's still a top tier guy. I think though, I like Donica. If you count Rachel as Inner Geekdom, I think that she's at the top then.
Yeah.
But let's not forget Robert Meyer Burnett. I think Robert Meyer Burnett can come in here at any time and take it back.
Look, I hate saying this because Chris is here, but after that first Inner Geekdom, the inaugural one in 2016, he's dropped 3 straight. He's answering 62%.
He's got to get his confidence back. That's all.
Yeah, and he's got a. I mean, he's nowhere near like he's not even close to answering 70% of his questions. Which, if you even want to have a shot in hell, I mean, Inman is answering 82%.
You're killing Chris over here.
I mean, that's 20 points better than Robert Meyer Burnett. I'm sorry, these are the facts. And
Chris, what do you say? What do you retort back to that? I think Robert Meyer Burnett could still be a championship contender.
See this? Brad is why America is great. Look, I just made that political. Wait 1 second. No, look. No, look. This is ridiculous. You are driving me crazy. You guys are both going to be so surprised when you see Donica versus Burnett. You're just going to see a lot of records. I cannot wait, Frank, when you text me after the Burnett and Donica match saying there's so many records that were broken that you had to document, and you would lose a lot of sleep. I can't wait for this. I think you're just wrong, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. And also, Washington's actually pretty solid, too. I had to give him the credit.
Yeah, Jay Washington is, I think, an underrated Inner Geekdom player. I've always said Jay Washington's my guy, but
look, I guess you could chalk it up to bad luck, but he's only answering 53% of his questions through 2 matches. So, not the greatest, but look, anything can happen. You can, get a bad run of questions, a bad category, and that can, skew your stats. But when I look at Robert Meyer Burnett, he's been in 4 matches, and he's 20 points behind the champ in terms of lifetime average. That's a huge mountain to climb. So, forgive me if I say he's got to prove to me that he can do it, because the last 3 times out, it's been nothing but a goose egg. It's inaugural. That doesn't, is it?
Inaugural doesn't mean anything?
It's fine. It's fine. It's great. But then
when you look up the record book, does it say champion or does it say not champion? Which one does it say? Is he in the champ column or the contender column?
Okay, fine. Fine.
You said what the worst answer in Schmoedown history is. It's 1984 because that's what he lost the Superman question on when he lost the belt.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well.
So look, it is what it is.
Well, you mentioned something though, Frank, about a couple bad performances could skew your statistics. I think that there's no better illustration of that than the Western Conference Finals, where the Houston Rockets went 0-27 in a 3-point run. But I have a point here. They have made more threes this season than any other team in history. They're also the first team ever to take more 3-point shots than 2-point shots throughout the regular season and make them. They are an incredible 3-point shooting team. They went on a bad run. Robert Meyer Burnett, you can't say that he doesn't have the goods because he won the title before anyone else could. And I think that's why you have to always have him in the conversation as somebody who at any moment in time could come back and layeth the smacketh down on any of these fools' candy ass.
I love you, Brad.
I got your back, Chris Clark, on this one. because I really think that Chris and I are on the right side of this. And Frank, just like with Andrew Guy last week, you were on the wrong side of this one, Frank Janisch.
No.
You were on the wrong side.
I don't think
this
so.
is going to be great.
Look, he's just lucky that the inaugural championship Fatal 5-Way was round elimination style because he did so poor in that third round. He got smoked. Hector Navarro came up with 12 points. Robert Meyer Burnett had 3. John Campea had 0. That's the only reason Robert Meyer Burnett even had a shot in the 4th round at the belt. That's all I'm going to say.
Sorry.
Well, guess what? Who walked out of that match? The champ. That's all I got to say. Well, moving right along, what do you think, though, Frank? Speaking of a former champion, what do you think is next for Hector Navarro?
You know, I mean, he's not done in this league. I'm not sure who he really should face. He's going to have to wait, obviously, till after Collision, see how the dust settles. If none of this Inner Geekdom stuff was happening, or the Fatal 5-Way stuff was happening, I would like to see him go up against Donica, but I would love to see him go up against Rachel as well. Kalinowski, these people, these players are forces to be reckoned with, just as Hector Navarro is, and those are some of the people that I'd like to see him play. And I think it will. One of those will happen. I would like to think.
Yeah, no, I would like to see that happen as well. I'm looking forward, though, to seeing, as you said, the dust settle after Collision and see really what the league looks like, the division, rather, looks like after that. I think we'll have a clearer picture of where the Inner Geekdom division is going as we march our way to the spectacular. That is what we're looking forward to. We want to remind y'all, though, that we're going to break down the Friday matches live and in living color. Make sure you follow us on our social media platforms at Schmoedown RD, Schmoedown Rundown on Instagram, and then the Schmoedown Rundown on Facebook. Follow all those, and we're going to post updates as to exactly when we will be airing and all that good stuff, and how you can watch along with us.
Just in case you haven't seen any of our posts previous to this episode airing, I'm sure we'll tweet out information. So if you haven't seen it, you're hearing it now, or you'll be seeing it.
You'll be able to see it. Yeah, you'll be able to see it even if you don't tune in live. We'll make sure that the episode will be seen in some other way, or the part 2 of this episode. So this is part 1. Part 2 will be out.
It's like Infinity
War.
War.
It's like Infinity War. It's really the best of all time.
And now Chris has got to do some visual effect work and make us all disappear. I hope that's not a spoiler.
Well,
is that a spoiler? I mean, we're pretty far out now. Yeah, the meme has been everywhere.
And there's a lot of memes.
Yeah,
a lot of memes.
Yeah.
I saw it to the Roseanne show that was pretty funny. Like, they all disappeared off the couch. It was funny. That one made me laugh.
Someone's going to have to do it to Pusha T or Drake soon.
Someone's going to have to do it to Pusha or Drake. One of them are going to be...
One of them's going to, or both.
Be Thanos.
Yeah.
They're going to be Thanos.
That's
but anyway, hey, Chris Clark, let's start to you. Tell people who you are, where they can find you on all social media.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. You can find me on YouTube at Take 3 Productions, where I host a podcast called Suddenly Soundtracks, where we go through a movie musical song by song and judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides. Bada bing, bada boom.
Frank Janisch.
No.
All right.
Frankie J 29 Instagram, Twitter, and Schmoedown SD Rundown Stats for other stats on Twitter.
That's right. And you can follow me on all social media at Brad Gilmore. And I got one thing to say to y'all. Next year, the king is coming to the H. LeBron James, welcome to your new city, my city. I'll show you around. I am Brad Gilmore for Frank Janisch and Chris Clark. This is part 1. Make sure you check out part 2. This is the Schmoedown Rundown. We'll be back, brother.